Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another Kerfuffle webinar. Delighted today to have Steve from Intouch Displays. How are you, Steve? You all right?
Very good, thank you, Simon. Yourself?
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Loving it, loving the weather, all the rest of it. But yes, looking forward today to learning from your good self, Steve. But you've come tooled up, as they say, Steve, today, haven't you? We have got.
Indeed. Yeah. Really lucky to have with us today Sacha and Scott from Sacha Scott Estate Agents in Banstead. They're fairly new to Intouch. They've been with us now for just over a month or so. Doing really well with the touch screen, and so it would, as much as I can say how great our product is, it would be great to obviously hear it from these guys as well today. So,
well, you've raised the pressure there in terms
over to us.
Yeah, we'll just let
Hang on a minute.
We'll just let you talk for an hour about this.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sacha and Scott, for joining us. Good of you to spare the time. I know how busy you all are. What I was keen to do today, just to have a nice roundtable conversation on this, though, and understand the title of the webinar is "The Perfect Solution for Your Windows Display." Before we just dive into a little bit of detail on that, though, Steve, could you just give us a bit of background about the company, just a quick elevator pitch about where you guys started from and where you are now?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So Intouch was sort of conceived back in 2012. At that point, we spent probably about a year doing some really serious in-depth R&D on our kit and our system, on our service. In early 2013, we started the sort of initial rollout of the screens, and it was really initially, and still is thankfully today, really well received by estate agents. They really do see the benefit of it, of being on the high street, being able to promote their local community events, their tie-up with any community type events that they've got, sort of Rotary clubs, cricket clubs, rugby clubs, which sort of shows their brand, other than just being an estate agent, works really well on the high street, and that over the years has evolved and grown to what it is today, which is, as I say, not just promoting their series of properties in the carousel, but really getting involved with what's going on in the local area, and doing really well. As far as our service is concerned, we absolutely pride ourselves on offering a turnkey white glove service. Nothing is ever too much for us to do. We've got a really, really good in-house graphics team that put together the sort of community-based slides or the USP slides that the agents want to promote. And as I say, all of that stuff is sort of gold dust, really. So more recently, we've been promoting not just the touch screens, but the non-touch aspects as well. So digital signage as a whole. And again, that's been really well received over the last sort of 6 to 8 months.
And just for those that aren't aware of it, what would you summarise as being the main benefits of having the touch screen and the non-touch screens at the moment?
Sure. Yeah, I think to actually promote yourself, outside of being an estate agent seems to be, certainly in the last couple of years, something that a lot of the agents, really see value in. A lot of people that pass the office day in, day out are generally the same people. So if they can, stick something up in the window in a high bright, really visible format, that's not property, that engages with what's going on in the local community, that's what agents want, because it sort of works subliminally then. So I've been told and fed back, when people then come to think about the valuation process, they've seen an advert for the local cricket club or Rotary club, whatever it is, and it sort of ties it all in. I think, for us, the agent's feedback is always, of utmost importance to us, and they've been really the sort of driver behind that sort of community hub in the window, and we've just sort of facilitated that with a really good team behind it, with the graphical team, the technical team, and it's all sort of gelled together really well.
Excellent. Excellent. And let's go straight to the people that have obviously been through this. You mentioned Sacha and Scott there. You've relatively recently, so it should be fresh in your mind. How's the whole process been in terms of getting on board? Because let's be honest, and I have no idea if this is the case. Some products work out of the box. Some solutions work, very, very quickly. Others take time to bed down, and others you might as well wait till hell freezes over. Where does it fit on the scale here?
I think that's probably our biggest concern, actually. It's safe to say that the property industry is mental at the moment, so anything that involves an extra job is a headache. On top of that, we stupidly decided that we would get on with the refurb that we promised ourselves last year, so it was all a bit up in the air. And it was Scott's idea, actually. Scott's been looking into window displays for a while and has always hated the paper change. And actually, one of the things that he did comment on as well is actually the way that you block your customers out with the window cards. And he kept saying it, and it was like, I kept thinking, not sure. If
that was a human being, it was body language is kind of like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And on a light-hearted sort of subject, they used to look at the different window cards in the window. Yeah. And they would look through the window, and they wouldn't realise how far away the window card was. So you'd have all these forehead marks on the windows because they would, look, wait for their fish and chips, and walk up and headbutt the window screen.
A lot of bangs.
And, eliminated that.
Yeah, there was that as well. But it was a case of we were doing the refurb, and he went on about it for a while. And even Steve will remember when we first had the conversation, I was definitely on the fence. I still wasn't sure when we first started talking. And then Steve showed us the product, and as the conversation went on, we actually committed in what I would say was our demo, didn't we, Steve? We were like, do you know what? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And he did say it was going to be seamless and it was going to be easy to implement, and there wasn't going to be a lot on our side other than some measurements and making sure that we could get the website links and everything to him. And he was true to his word.
Yeah,
I mean, it's literally, if we need to change the display, if there's anything that we need to put in, we send an email to Deborah. It's done in moments. She's fantastic. She's already got a very good idea of what our theme is from what we've already sent to Steve. So when we first set up, we sent him all sorts of bits and pieces that we put out over the years, and so they get an idea of how we like our sort of, I suppose, updates and adverts to look. And she's always spot on with what she comes back with. People seem to really love it. I mean, Scott did just mention we're next to a fish and chip shop. We're next to a really busy fish and chip shop, so there was always people in the window, and we felt like we were letting them down if we didn't change the window cards quick enough, and we haven't got that problem anymore. If we want something out there, we can have it on there normally within a working day. I can email Deborah in the morning, and by 3 o'clock it's up.
Yeah.
So all I put that down to is then that you carefully spec the site, looking for that fish and chip shop, so that you knew you were going to have that working trade. So congratulations for you for using that demographic data there very carefully.
Well, of course, we definitely looked into it now. I mean, we've been very lucky actually, because we're in quite a small community anyway, and a lot of what we've always done has been community led, and we like to. I don't know, it's just silly things like there's cats that need homes, and we sell homes, so why not find a cat at home? So we have one of those going up a month from the local charity where they need to rehome cats and things like that. And actually, they've got more of a platform there. It's not just some random thing. People are kind of, what it's like, you see bright lights and you wander towards them, and people do that. People stop on the way to the shop with, not just the fish and chip shop. They wander along and have a nose, and they're not looking for houses. We're not under any illusions that they are. A lot of the time they're killing some time, but it means we're putting things in front of them. We're putting the litter pick that we do in front of them. We're putting in the local events. We're trying to sort of speak to all of, I know we haven't got many at the moment, but all the fetes and the fairs locally are starting to come out now. And we're saying to them, stick it in our window. This is.
I love that. I mean, I really do. And look, yes, of course, there's going to be a much smaller subset who are thinking about moving at that particular time. But this is just classic brand building, subliminal advertising, isn't it? There, and I think you were almost a bit apologetic there, Sacha, over the sort of things you were putting in the window. But I think that stuff really matters. And if you look at a local newspaper, everyone kind of jokes that some of the headlines are "local bin pushed over" or something like that. Has caused a huge turmoil. But that's the micro conversations that matter to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You could put yourself at the hub of that, as many people, not least Mr. Watkins himself, famously talks about. Being the digital mayor. Well, being the actual mayor isn't a bad example as well, is it? If you're leading the story and the conversations that are going on in your backyard.
Yeah, I'd like to think that because we are quite a small village actually. There's only I think 2,500 chimney pots here, and where we are there's a handful of shops, but a lot of the community use them. So we would like to get ourselves into a position using Steve's display to, you know, get important things up, you know, when there's events happening that are important to the local, you know, schools and things like that. And, you know, hopefully become somewhere where people do check, you know, they do think, oh, actually, that, you know, I know there's an event, it's bound to be in the window kind of thing. So that's where we intend to go with it. And you're right, you know, it also, you know, means that people just automatically think of Sacha Scott when they want an update, and that's not a bad thing. And also, you know, the important thing for our clients is we're showcasing their property so much better by giving them the digital to display. You know, you're seeing a moving property, all of the insides, all of the writing coming up and down, rather than just this dull window card that says this is for sale. And people go in and zoom in, and you know, it's fantastic.
The images look so much better as well, don't they?
It really shows it at its best, and that's you know, our clients love that. They love that.
Great. You said there a second ago, Sacha, that it was a no-brainer. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago, so mind you, that would mean if it was yesterday, I can't remember anything. But do you remember what were the bits that stood out from you from Steve's presentation, and what bits from the solution itself really resonated with you?
Steve's been really kind, because we hooked up with him about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's taken us that long to get this property to the point where the glass was in. It was a bit of a nightmare.
And you're very patient as well, so thank you.
But yeah, I mean,
I've long said you're an industry of tire kickers, estate agents.
Oh my god! But it's literally, we kept trying. I mean, we kept trying to get this window in. It was a window. It was a nuisance in the end, wasn't it, Steve? We were like, really? But yeah.
It wasn't our fault, by the way. It was a next one. Just so you know, we're more efficient than that.
Let's be honest, everyone's had a fair bit going on.
It's been, that's exactly it. And I think, for me, I mean, as I say, I was the one that was on the fence. Scott had looked into various different products over the last, I'd say, year or so. He's always talked about it since we've had the shop front. But we looked at various products, and some of them wanted you to advertise. They wanted to charge contractors to advertise to do this, and you know, you're having people in that it was kind of a money making exercise, and I really didn't like that, and neither did Scott. So we wanted something that, you know, there wasn't any impetus to go to other than that you wanted to have a nose at what was going on and what properties were on the market.
And you didn't have any control over the contractors as well,
that was a big concern.
So if they've done a bad job, who do they come to?
Because it's been recommended in our windows. So it was all things like that. There's different, you know, bits and pieces. And we stumbled across Steve after speaking to FAM. So we had a supplier review with FAM, with Kerfuffle. And you didn't have Steve and Kerfuffle at the time. And I said, oh, we'd really like to do that. And FAM was the one that said, oh, actually, I've heard of, hadn't actually spoken to you, Steve, had he? But he was like, I've heard of this company, heard good things. And so we gave him a call. And even then, I was still on the fence. I was still a bit like, well, we could, you know, get rid of the problem of having a blocked window by just putting, you know, cards up in one window and leaving another window blank, and at least then we can change them all the time. And if I'm honest, the big problem with me was I didn't want to create any more work for us in terms of having to upload and change data and do whatever we need to do. And the thing that just turned it completely on its head for me, I think you were already there. He was adamant we were having it. With me, I came into agreement when Steve explained the process and how simple it is. And as I say, he was true to his word. It really genuinely is such an easy product to update.
The time it saved me on, you know, constantly reprinting out window cards. Every time there's a price change, updating them, you know, everyone around here, because we're quite local. So the vendors walk past the shop, and if their window isn't displayed, you know, their property isn't displayed in the window, they then, you know, sort of get angry. So we can only display so many windows.
They're going to let you know about that very quickly.
Yeah.
So we have to constantly rotate the, you know, the window cards as well to keep all the vendors happy. So just having it on this screen where they can
everyone's there.
It's brilliant.
It's, you know, it's problem solved.
It's a game changer.
And you know, and that's the thing. It was so easy. I mean, literally the day that they put it in, it was live. It was literally like, you're in, you're live. So everyone could see this. We had neighbours and neighbours and stuff coming over and saying, "Oh, what's that? What's going in? What's going in?" The guys installing it were like, "Whoa, hang on a minute, give us a chance," you know. And it was literally live that day, and that's fantastic.
And it looks brilliant at night time as well.
Yeah,
just illuminates. Everyone can see it. You know.
I mean, nighttime shops are absolutely fantastic, and I urge anyone to go to Steve and the Intouch Displays website, because there's just, you know, it just sets it off completely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Steve previously about this, but in terms of the if you're going to have a high street office, and everything else, were you very much then of the opinion that if we're going to do that, we need to make it as good as it can be, and that this was a central part to that?
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't want to do it half-heartedly. I'm finding it very difficult because I don't want anybody else to have one near us. So it's, I'm going to give Steve a Supplier block list of people that can't have one, and then I'll carry on advertising for you everywhere else, Steve. But yeah, no, I do think that that's the thing. The thing that we've definitely found is that you don't want to it's no point in it just being a listing, because actually we've watched people on there and they're not necessarily looking at the listings. They're looking at, we've got one at the moment for the BFA, the charity. There's a video running at the moment that's got about crushing cans and all of that, and how they can make money at the school by having cans donated and things like that. And people are standing back and watching that. And the advice, we've got some advice that runs through there. So we've got just some documents that have uploaded, and they just give brief advice. It's snapshot because it's quick. Yeah. You're not overloading people. You're not expecting them to read too much. And changing it up is so easy that you can have something new going on all the time. So I think that if you're going to take it on, you do need to use Steve's resources and, make sure that you get ideas from them, because that way you're giving your clients out there who are nosing at the best possible information. I just think that when it's, especially at night as well, when people are wandering past, you could probably land a helicopter there. It's just so bright, it's like literally look at me, and people, you can see them. I've worked late and you can see them kind of wandering over, all starstruck and having a look. So it's a great place to give that information.
And at the end of it, we've got lots of lights in the office and stuff, but it was like the centerpiece of the finish of the refurbishment. Everyone was waiting for it, and it looks stunning.
It is the crowning glory, and we've had that feedback. We've had that, the community have all come in saying this looks fantastic, and what a way to finish it off. We have got the touchscreen. I know that Steve was talking earlier about the non-touch screen. We have got the touchscreen.
And we talked about that. So because otherwise, it's much more passive, isn't it? But with the touchscreen, then, from my understanding, would that allow you to then, capture leads and things like that as well?
Yeah. So what we've got, so we asked Steve to do for us was put in a link so that people can key in their valuation information if they want to call us out for a valuation, or they just want to contact us. They can do that on the screen. We've got a QR code as well that takes you straight to a link if you need to do it from your phone, and they can do it from there. Touchscreen was a bit worrying with the COVID situation. We were a bit like, oh my gosh, we're going to get pelted with eggs for putting a touchscreen up. But we simply put out antibacterial, and actually that's become a bit of a community service, because everyone going to the chip shop now comes and does their hands at our antibac before they go in the chip shop. So we're like, might ask him to go halves with the antibacterial top up soon. But it's people are interacting with it and having a look around, and you can choose properties and you can swipe left and right and have a good nose around without actually having any purpose other than just wasting some time while the fish is cooking.
and when those leads are obviously generated, what's the quality of the leads from the in there? Are people realistic and saying, look, we're not ready just yet, but we'd like to stay on your mailing list? Are there ones that actually do have an immediate need, and if so, what kind of numbers you're talking there?
They'll be exactly. I mean, we're early days. I know that Steve sent us over our stats, and apparently we're almost double what's normal. Actually, where we are, aren't we? Did you say it was like we were getting more?
It's about the national average. So I think you had 65 in the last week. Is that right? Yeah. But that's right up there, and that's as summer goes on, as things open up even more, so people become a bit more confident with it in the local area. I think that will only grow. I mean, we've got that sort of vary from 50 users per week. Down in Padstow, they're up to like 300 users per week. So it's demographic where you are.
And their leads are going to be very similar, Simon, to what you get when you put a valuation tool out on Facebook. It's we haven't just got you fancy a chat box kind of thing. They can come on and do a WhatsApp chat with us actually, but a lot of the time that's been driven by, would you like a valuation or would you like to view a property? So we do find that what comes in from that and other social media and everything else that's out there, we've been quite specific with how we capture the leads anyway. So people do tend to come to either look at a property or sell one or rent one.
Got you. And Steve, these guys were quite, really complimentary about the service and everything else that we were just talking about there. How has both the service and the offering itself changed over the years? I guess you've obviously with technology like this, it seems to just transform over 18 months, 2 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if in the initial instance, a lot of agencies like to head off the fact that they couldn't promote all of their portfolio in the window. So that was great. Straight away, the touchscreen heads that off.
Yeah.
When we first set out with this, the sunlight readable aspect was, a major key factor, because you see so many screens in Windows which, just black, you can't see them, you wouldn't know they're on. So, we as time has gone on, the screens have got even brighter and brighter. I mean, certainly in the last 5 years, they're as bright as you'll ever need them going forward. Even in south-facing positions, you can still see exactly what's going on at all times of the day. And then just the community aspect, as I think within the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, a lot of agencies that are still on the high street, that still see huge value in being on the high street. They've really sort of, as Sacha has got, used it as a community hub, and we've based a really strong graphics team behind that. To promote this artwork, we include that. That's not an additional charge. A lot of agencies come to us on a Monday or Tuesday morning. Right, this is the promotion, or this is what we want to push out this week. Give us a really sort of a rundown of a brief that they want. We design it, send it to them to proof, and then up it goes onto the screen. And then as far as the integration is concerned, we take a feed directly from Expert Agent, Repit, Vibra, whoever it is. That's automatically fed. And then, as Sacha and Scott have done, is incorporate a valuation tool if they want to. So ValPal, eVal, SmartVal, all of these can be incorporated alongside the WhatsApp. So when you arrive at the screen, there's quite a few bells and whistles to actually get engaged with. And the longer you've got somebody stood there in front of your window, in front of your branding, that's really strong for other passers-by. It supports virtual video tours. Matterport tours are really popular. Again, within the last couple of years, you pull one of those up on a £2 billion house, and it just looks really strong, really strong.
That's really good to hear. So you're one of those very much forward-thinking suppliers that's working with others hand in glove to, again, get whether that's just taking the feed from the CRMs or being able to show the content in the best possible way. You've basically got a tick in the box on both of those approaches, haven't you?
We like to think so, yeah, and it's absolutely backed up by the service. As Sacha said, when they come up with an idea or something that they want to implement, if it's not something that we've got readily available, we'll look into it, and then we'll always come back with a development time if it can be done. And more often than not, if it can be done, we'll do it. So I think agencies really like that flexibility.
Yeah, yes, it's absolutely vital these days, isn't it? To have that ability to integrate. I know other CRMs for a long period of time were kind of a bit seen as the baddies in all this, because it was so difficult keeping up with all the different various demands of integration. But we do seem to be in a pretty nice sweet spot now. But more importantly, you've got those 10 years of experience under your wings anyway, haven't you, in terms of getting this working right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've said about the kit, we've future-proofed it, and the screens are absolutely as bright as they ever need to be. The service that we've got behind it works really well. We're never complacent. We're always willing and listening out to the next thing that's coming through. We're keeping our eyes out and ears out on the prop tech side to see if there's anything that can be incorporated that can make the agents on the high street life even more visible.
Steve, is this like what I'm just trying to gauge what's kind of investment lifetime they should be looking at with a project like this? Is this very much like a website where in say 2 or 3 years you start looking again at the hardware itself, or does the software itself keep you? Does it extend that life cycle? I suppose.
You've nailed it exactly. The initial sort of buy-in period is for 36 months as our initial agreement, and then that's fully warranted for 3 years. But the software that you have installed in day one will absolutely evolve as we get these really good ideas come in from other agencies around the UK. We'll implement that, and then we just fire it out, and everybody becomes privy to those updates. we've actually still got customers out there in the field that were with us from day one, so that have either renewed the kit because it's come to the end of its life cycle, or in a couple of instances because they've been facing north or whatever, they've still got the original kit that's chugging along, you know, 8 years on, still doing it, still really well, and still promoting their brand.
Excellent. And you mentioned that there's obviously clearly there's a setup element of this, or a design element here. How, I'm assuming you do have a kind of then graphic design service, do you, to help out with this?
Yeah, so there's an initial template for how, which we seem to think, and the feedback we've had from the agents seem to be really, the palatable. They quite like it. It's a nice, easy work through as the initial template. We give a bit of artistic license on the menu pages, how many buttons you want to include. If you want to include community stuff, get that on there. If you want additional buttons for data capture, absolutely great. Any additional services that you want to push, surveyors, financial services, those sorts of things, those can all be incorporated on there. But yeah, there is an initial template which is all clean, crisp, easy to work to, and very much geared for the first-time user.
So, thank you, Steve. So, Sacha, Scott, what are the benefits you see on a daily basis here? Is there any, I suppose I asked you what you obviously went into it with your eyes open with. Were there any kind of halo effects, any benefits that you didn't immediately expect? And I know you've only had it a relatively short period of time, but you've been quite surprised to see has been beneficial to you guys at the moment.
I think it's the ease at which we can update it. I mean, I didn't appreciate that we could have videos in there, for instance. And one of the school mums had done a video with her children, as I said, on recycling, and it's all going towards the BFA. They're crushing cans and collecting them, and getting the money towards the actual fund for the school. And I kind of dropped an email going, I wonder if we can get this on there. And it was done the next day. It was just like, yeah, that's fine, put it on. So I think there's been a few things that I didn't anticipate. And one of the good things is as well, is you get these ideas in your head that you want to be able to promote, and you want to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna get this out there. And then you have to, hop onto Canva, get yourself something set up that's going to be social media happy and goes on everything and looks good. Then you have to go and get it to the printer and get it printed because you want to print it out as well. And you haven't got time to do all that right now, but you want that message out there. That's the best place for it to start. I can just literally, as I say, email the guys and say, look, we're doing this. The litter pick's a perfect example. We're doing the litter pick. We'd like to have that advertised all month round to say that it's when it is. It's always the first Sunday of the month. But we'd also like a litter pick this week, the week before, and things like that. I would normally be changing window cards and getting it still goes onto our social media, but I can get that out. Yeah, I can get the first bit done very quickly. That's done. So I know that message is out there. And so it's the ease at which you can do it. It's actually, having, I can't sort of shout loudly enough about how easy it is to have the creative design done for you. And you do literally swap a couple of emails and then you've got what you wanted in your window. And I'll literally get an email back going, that's signed off. It's in your window this afternoon. And I will get up and walk from my desk and it's sitting there.
You mentioned that a lot of the community spirit stuff you're doing and campaigns getting behind. Is that, have you actively gone out there to kind of procure content, or how do you let people know that it's there? Is it literally, look, if you've got something of interest, please come to us?
To be honest with you, we've been working in this industry from here and home for the last 8 years. People know that if they've got a community event, if there's a fair, if there's a charity thing going on, they know that we'll push it. And we've always done.
A lovely place to be in, isn't it, Sacha? A lovely place to be where people just know that you are a company that's going to support them there. And I can't think of too many other vertical industries would that have that same kind of. It gets a lot of grief from people over time.
I just don't understand why. I mean, if you're working, it's not just a state agency either. If you're working in the community and you're there constantly and you're seeing the same people every day, and you've got an opportunity to add a couple of things onto your website or add a couple of things onto your thing that helps them, it makes no sense to me why you wouldn't. And we've just done that since day one. We're part of the community. We live here. We work here. Our children go to school here. It's just as beneficial to us as everybody else if we have a nice community. And so for us, it's just, if there's something that we can get behind, it's a no-brainer, we'll do it. So people do wander to us. There's been a couple of things that we have picked up on. So we've got a local hospital that has fundraising things that go on. We've spent a lot of time in and out of hospital with our little one. So we have approached on that basis and said, look, guys, we do a lot elsewhere. Do you want us to stick stuff up in our window and onto our website? They're now going onto we're just exploring at the moment, getting them onto our TV as well with their, with what they're trying to get some donations for. So people are interested in it anyway. We always like to help each other, but I think in the last year, I think even more so, we're all realising that it's more important than ever to get behind these things and help where we can.
And we sponsor, a few sort of local events around here, sort of fates and stuff like that as well, And we also, run a couple of social media groups as well, which we got a large content of people on there. So
they're going to
be sharing stuff, and more so going forward as well. Now that they can see how nice it looks, I think, they're going to be coming to us more to put stuff on there as well, So. And
we're happy with that. I said it to Steve. We didn't ever want it to be up going, sell with us. And we've got that in there. Don't get me wrong. We'll tell people that we're low on stock when we're low on stock, and we'll tell people what our service is and all that, because that's just as important as anything else. They want to know what we do. I think that we've always said we didn't want it to be one of those direct sell methods. I think some people do use it that way and it works for them, but for us, it's like, this really could
give them something, and they enjoy it, don't they?
It could be.
That's what it's about. It's not about us. It's about everyone. Exactly what it is.
It's the importance there, though, Scott, of mixing that message up. There's nothing, as we said, inherently wrong with doing a sales. Hopefully, we don't go down too much of the hard sales route. But if you're mixing it up, if you've got that reciprocity that you're able to do the community-minded stuff, then you're going to be, not that you really need forgiveness, but people will understand how this all works. Don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
People do tend to know, and that's the thing as well. People know we're here to earn a living and we're in business, but you can do that whilst also being super helpful too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If people choose not to as a business, that's down to them. We choose to help. So, it's just
try and give a little back.
Yeah.
As Steve just highlighted there, since I think I'm looking at stats here, since going live on the 4th of May to date, you've had 232 individual touchscreen users, with over half of those being captured out of hours. Now, as you were saying yourself, what did you say, Sacha? Was it essentially the chimney pots catchment area is 2,500?
Yeah.
Even me with my ropey mass, that's almost 10% in the first month.
And it's quite quiet out there at the moment as well, Quite quiet,
But what a wonderful thing to think about, that is over a period of time. Each time, literally, somebody else comes to that window in your local area, the most important one you need to service. There is a good chance that over a period of time, they will get to use a tool like this, won't they? And by having that again, you've got the permission to market to them, to help them out with everything else. But even better than that, they're self-servicing by coming to the screen while they're having their, whether it's a pint or some fish and chips, they're there in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do do you have any of the staff members as well within the business? What do the guys think about it?
Oh, they loved it. Yeah, so we've got a team of 8, and all of them were very excited. They felt the same as the people that we spoke to in the community. Actually, it really finished the shop off. It really.
We're in the 21st century now,
and they loved it. Yeah, and
they must be glad you're investing. I mean, obviously you've gone out, done the new options and everything else. And the reason I asked that is because it was a bit of a wry smile. Is sometimes as business owners we can do the right thing by putting in place a new supplier, a new bit of tech. But the staff just roll their eyes and sort of, here we go again. So it's nice to see that they can absolutely immediately from day one get excited about it and see the benefits it's bringing.
Oh yeah, they know what we're like. The minute we open our mouths, they're like, "Oh God, are they gonna nick another one of our Sundays for a little pick? What are you doing now?" They know what we're like. But yeah, and another thing, which is an added bonus that I haven't said, is that obviously with COVID as well. We're still shut. We're letting people come to the door, and we're going to the door and servicing them. But we can step outside instead of getting the laptop and wandering over and showing them. We can step outside and bring the property up that they're looking for and say, "Is it this one?"
That's a great point. In effect, it becomes a massive iPad for you.
You just stand there, go, "This is it," and then they're like, "Oh, stop! Let's have a look at that one." It's awesome. They're just, and we're out there safely you know, in the air, chatting to them, going through what they're looking for, getting them to register, and it's all, you know, there in real time on a big screen. So that, you know, I can't imagine that we'll ever sit down and all huddle around a laptop again, even when things are back to the new normal. We will, you know, we'll wander out there and go, is it this one? Great, okay, let's get you booked in, because it's seconds. It takes a moment to get the listing up. They can have a good look while we're getting them their appointment, and everyone's happy. So it's, you know, it's fantastic bit of kit for that as well. You know, it's apart from everything else that we're doing on it, getting to our stock and showing people what we've got on offer.
It saves us time, and it saves them time as well, don't it?
Yeah, it's all bells and whistles.
Cool. And Steve, how common is this kind of feedback from your clients?
Yeah, I think of late, you know, in the last 14 months, it's a bit of a common theme, you know, being able to get out, as Sacha said, in the fresh air and just, you know, still be able to have that one-on-one, show the client the whites of your eyes, you know, while going through the portfolio that's available, and also how their property will end up looking, you know, on the big screen if they were to be instructed. You know, I think a lot of agents can sort of, you know, weave that into their sort of valuations, you know, tools, and it holds a lot of weight. But yeah, I think it's the accessibility to the whole portfolio. Being able to retain that one-on-one is being really key.
What can you tell us without having to kill me? What do you have on the kind of, where do you see this developing, this kind of tech and your approach developing into the future?
I think for where we're at with it at this moment in time, we've got it pretty much, you know, there with the additional bells and whistles that we've got on it, with the valuation tool, with the Matterport tours, video tours. You know, it's really just having that ability to be able to react and implement any other new bits of prop tech that's out there that will further enhance what we already do. As far as what's on the roadmap already, as I say, I think we're okay where we're at this moment in time, but yeah, as things evolve and improve, we'll be there at the forefront as well.
Well, that comes through strongly. I mean, if we literally just have a look now, if I just show some of the on the wonderful little pink website that we've got here. Here's your page. We have 30. Look at that, perfect 5-star reviews over here, and we've got, you know, people here. Talking about being very proactive, always prompting us to update the screen with seasonal displays, keeping it fresh and interesting. I guess, Steve, that's why I'm just scrolling through that. That's one of the keys, is it? Not to let it become a bit too static.
We absolutely encourage that, you know, the really proactive agents, and we'd like to sort of say that most, you know, if not all, you know, change it up every few weeks. But that's why we've got the design team, you know, keep the content fresh, keep people looking at your brand, looking at your office frontage, you know, is the headline with that, most definitely. And, you know, however weird and wacky some of the adverts may come across, then we're up for that. Anything that catches the eye is great.
Now remember who you're talking to here, Steve. Can you ever go too far with it? You know, there's one thing being.
You definitely could, Simon. Come on, we all know that.
That's what I'm thinking. Kerfuffle doesn't have any shop windows, or we will be in trouble. So, Steve, what do you think the brief advice on? Obviously, yes, you know, try what you can do, but what should you veer away from? Just as importantly.
Yeah, I think it's finding the balance. You know, you'll know within your local demographic and community the message that you want to put out, whether it's going to be, you know, more of a hard sell type message, or whether it's going to be more of a community-based type sort of line. You know, and the screen really caters for either. And you know, to be honest, as I said, we've got a bit of a split pack really as to how people use it. I must admit, the ones that tend to use it more on the community line base tend to get more engagement, obviously higher hits, user rates. Yeah. You know, you'd like to think that in time that converts to further valuations and instructions. But, you know, it's a bit anecdotal, I know, but I think that's it. It's, advertisement base is great.
And do you give support and assistance just on a consultative basis? They're advising them what is best as well, or do they have to kind of find their own way with this thing?
No, so we'll always provide the initial seasonal adverts as a bit of a stock really, and then any additional USPs or a line that they want to communicate, then we'll just bespoke put those adverts together. and then we'll always just try and give guidance as to what's happening. So we'll send out probably about a quarterly newsletter to our existing client base if there's any new updates coming along, if there's anything changing with the software, if there's anything we feel that's working for somebody, in Cornwall that could be great for somebody in the Surrey area. We just put it out there, and again, try and create that community within our own client base, so that everybody's sharing ideas, because we don't tend to have many touchscreens where there's two on the same high street. I think when one goes in, I think the other agents tend to think that they've missed the boat with it, and it works. It works really well in that capacity, and they've got that that added string to their bow, on valuations. And again, another little anecdote that agents have said is that when they're passing the office of an evening, weekends, and they're closed, it's actually the vendors that they've just taken on the market that are looking at their own property on the big screen, or the map, and checking that it's there, and
And I guess, look, the marketeers will talk about how important it is to be omni-channel, as it were, multi-platform, whatever else it is. I'm guessing that if you are doing things a lot socially as well, online, digitally, to have that being reinforced in the screen window so visibly will help the effectiveness of campaigns and brand building. Would that be fair to say, or is it too early to comment on that element of it?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got the facility where Twitter feeds can be put through the feed and updated through the screen. With the non-touch stuff, we've built our own CRM to actually show YouTube videos, and it can schedule playlists. It's got a screencasting effect on the CRM as well, and that will, in time, and not too distant future, that will translate into the touchscreen as well. So again, right, the agents with the touchscreen will have a bit more to sort of play around with in the back end, not just the stats portal.
Got you. Well, Sean Ashiru here from General Vaughan Estate Agents backs up that point you were talking about. The Intouch display has been in our shop front for 6.5 years. I like the accuracy of that. That's really OCD in terms of the attention to detail. I assume 6.5 there. We are the only agent in town with the display, reiterating your point of how useful that can be. Used on a daily basis by passers-by, we've been very satisfied by how functional and effective the Intouch display has been. The public find it very easy to use, and having been closed to the public over the pandemic, the ability for people to still use the display has been paramount to retaining business and inquiries. The IT support for updating listings, quarterly marketing screens, and any troubleshooting has been timely and invaluable. And something I'm sure Steve will want to echo forever is, overall, we are completely satisfied with our investments. So that's lovely to hear, isn't it, Steve? As well, and that's what I'll include, there are 34, which in a B2B sense, guys, and certainly on our platform, is a lot of reviews. So go and see what named people. None of them are ever anonymized. We take this, we take real reviews very seriously. So go and have a look, because you can glean a lot from those reviews about what Intouch Display are able to do for you. And I'm just looking here at the Kerfuffle deal as well, Steve. Do you want to just give us an update on how that looks? Because you've been really kind offering that out to our members.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, any prospective interest through Kerfuffle, we're happy to absorb the cost of the half of the cost of the installation. As I say, if you've got any other implementations that you think might work well for the software, always willing to hear those right from the get-go. And like I said earlier, if it's viable and it can work, we'll get it done.
Great, absolutely great. And one I didn't read out, but the one that I was really blown away by. I mean, I know Padstow is a particularly, a popular area, isn't it? With the old, I'm assuming it's the Padstow with Rick Stein, which is pretty much how I navigate my way around the country, is what food and restaurants they have there. So I'm off to Newcastle yesterday, home of Greg's, but that's a separate issue. But Padstow, Cole, Raymond and White were saying that they had over 460 customers use their window touch display, with 70% of the interaction happening during office hours, which I found was really interesting there. And that was just over the course of literally of the last month. Well, actually running from the kind of middle of April through to May. So those are really big figures, aren't they? And getting engagements. Great to hear.
It's superb. It's really getting their message out there and just proving that it's used, it's worth its weight, and people like to engage with it.
Great. Well, my colleague has made the point that I think he said that just because he might have thought I was going to forget to say it, but of course, David, I would never forget that Sacha and Scott are indeed what legends. So Mr. Mintz has given you a shout out there.
Cheers, Mincy.
Thank you.
Steve, I don't know what you've done wrong to not get his love and adulation, but you'll have to work harder to get in his love. I'm really glad, Sacha Scott, that actually you got that from one of our, obviously I think you were very kind to say you found those supplier MOTs we did useful, and although in this case we didn't actually have someone on the platform.
But there you go. See, that's the thing. That's the one thing I will say, and I know I'm not sorry, Steve. I'm not trying to detract from Intouch, but one thing I will say is we built a relationship with Steve from something you didn't have. I spoke to Fam. We was on the phone to Fam for ages, bless him. And he went straight from scratch and went through everything we use, and we got so much out of that. I can't even explain. I spent 3 months on demos, and feeding back to him. And it's like it was invaluable. I would recommend anybody do it, because there's so much that you don't realise is out there.
Definitely.
And the one thing that we didn't have and we were thinking about, not only did Fam find us somebody that he could recommend because he'd heard of them, but also he then sort of said, how did you find it? And I said, you've really got to get on board. And I spoke to Steve and said, guys, you need to chat because this is fantastic. And it wasn't a case of we don't do it, so we're not going to recommend it. You guys root around and help us that way. So I think anybody watching this that hasn't had one would be mad not to get one booked in.
Well, some generic Facebook user, which I hope isn't one of our team, because that would look really, really odd, has just said the MOTs are amazing, and also make sure you use the dashboard, as that's a game changer. So, he's just said that's Peter Lawrence.
Oh, so. Peter, so you can trust his word as well. He's outstanding.
He knows more about suppliers than pretty much any man.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. Yeah, so if you don't want to take it from me, take it from him.
Excellent. That's good stuff. Well, look, thank you for that feedback on there. Steve, have you got any last thoughts you'd like to get across to the industry? I'm assuming you'd love to say thank you to Sacha and Scott for taking part.
I think that's it. And thank you so much for coming on today, Sacha and Scott. Really, very much appreciated. Yeah, looking forward to working with you guys in the coming months and years. And hopefully, get the best out of the screen. So, thank you.
Welcome. It's been fantastic, and really highly recommend you.
Definitely.
I think what's really useful is if we catch each other up with each other over time, almost like as a time capsule. See how the system evolves for you, because I think that's just as important, isn't it? I was always very proud of my previous businesses, not just getting one testimonial, but when you get a testimonial from a client year on year, and that supplier is still working hard to meet your expectations, that's a lovely place to be in. And what's come across, I think, today, Steve, if I can learn anything from the kind of where I think there's a winner, why people should be talking to you, is a lot of what we're talking about is sometimes as suppliers, we get obsessed with just worrying what the agents think. And of course, it's vitally important, but ultimately, the ones that it matters most to is this delivering for the agents' clients themselves? And if it's delivering for the public, then you're gonna be delivering ROI, whether that's a slow burner or an immediate hit, as it sounds like it is here.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
look, guys, I am very conscious that it is a beautiful day out there, so I will not take you too much longer. Thank you for everybody who took part, got some feedback. Thank you, Peter, and everyone else, and Mr. Mintz. And I look very much to catching up with you guys in the future. Sacha, Scott,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.